Now, Colorado is very different from Texas because
Yeah.
you said that this TDA gang is also taking over apartment buildings in Texas. So, what is the difference that you're seeing, if any at all, in how Texas is attacking this issue versus someplace very woke and liberal like Colorado?
Yeah, so Texas is getting the blunt of this because it is really a border crisis issue.
Yes.
And so all these Venezuelans that have come to the border, come across the border, the TDA basically follows that migrant trail. They infiltrate that migrant network and they come in through that. And because we don't have the ability to vet them, or we've been pushed not to vet them carefully, they've snuck into the U.S. through Texas. Texas is probably, like, I would say, the ground zero of all this. Specifically, El Paso, Texas, I think, is the ground zero for all this. But in that, I think Texas, the state of Texas, the law enforcement, and the governor of Texas have been much more proactive. They've designated TDA as a terrorist organization. They created a strike team by their Texas Department of Public Safety to go after TDA. So they're basically taking a very proactive effort. But obviously, TDA is much bigger than just a problem for Texas, as you see on the maps present all over. So what Texas is going to need federal support, and it's going to need kind of a whole of government approach to really wrap this out. But Texas could train and help a lot of other states start to understand how this is working because they're seeing it first and they're seeing it more intense because of the volume that's inside Texas. If you look at the map, the way I would like, there's all these cities and dots, but the way I would look at it is concentrate it on the southwest, which is the border. So what's in Texas today is spilling over into Arizona, into New Mexico, into the southwest.
But also, it's spilling over because our government is literally purchasing flights for
Yeah,
these people.
yeah. No, someone asked me that. Someone asked me, like, have you and I haven't done this, but have you correlated these points on this map and where the flights were going from the border? And I haven't done that. We may actually end up doing that to see if there's any correlation there. Yeah, but the other hotspots to me is the Northeast, where there's a lot of migrant communities that I noticeably put Chicago and New York as like the top two, where you're starting to see TDA come in. And Chicago is very interesting because one of the reasons we know a lot about what's happening in Chicago is the Chicago gangs are complaining about this. The historic black gangs and the historic gangs on the south side of Chicago are saying you're getting all these Venezuelan migrants and they're coming into our neighborhood thinking they could run stuff. And so what you're going to see, and this is according to one of the ex-gang members, he said, "You're going to, if this continues and the city doesn't do anything about it, you're going to see blacks against migrants inside South Side of Chicago, which nobody
We
wants to see that."
saw well, we saw that, it had not turned violent when I went there with, Vivek Ramaswamy. I was the one who took him into the South Side of Chicago, and we had a lot of people, in that area tell us their stories, and they are rightfully pissed about what's happening. Hopefully, causing many to open their eyes and begin to realize that you get what you vote for. Change the way you vote, change these particular policies. I don't know, we will see in a couple of days here if people have learned anything. Now, what about Colorado? How are they handling this? You say Texas is being proactive because, of course, it's coming in first through Texas. Texas tried to warn us years ago that every state will become a border state. I think we fully appreciate that now, that it's not just happening down there to Texas, but now it's being exported across the nation. Now Texas could show the way again on how to deal with the blunders, just the sheer ignorance of the Harris Biden administration and attacking the TDA. What is Colorado doing?
So Colorado's not they're created a strike team. They're starting to look at this, investigate. They're not nearly as proactive as Texas, but there is a kind of a symbolic nature to now what happened in Aurora, Colorado, not because of the officials, but because of the victims. The victims, both the victims that were in those apartments and also the owners of those apartments, have come out and made such a point about this that in San Antonio, when they started taking over these apartment complexes in San Antonio, they dubbed that Operation Aurora out of Colorado. President Trump found out about this operation that they have in Texas, and what he said when he visited Aurora, Colorado, he said he's going to take that name and he's going to make it a federal operation if he's elected, for an Operation Aurora throughout the entire country to basically root out these gang members from all the states and deport them back to their home.